Hello and welcome back. I am wearing this necklace in honor of St. Patrick's feast day. So I hope you all had a fun day if you did anything to celebrate. And if you were wondering, yes, I am Irish. So for day 12 of Lent, we are going to be discussing journal entries 394 to 441 in the Diary of Saint Faustina. I think this was my favorite part so far in this diary because not only does it show how cool Saint Faustina is, but it's great, amazing reminders to all of us. So let me read you this part right here. It is in 395. Basically, what's happening now is Saint Faustina's mom was about to die, I don't know what she was going to die. Hey, we're reading. So Saint Faustina's mom was dying and she wanted to see her daughters. So Saint Faustina was in the convent and she found out that her mom wanted to see her, and she wrote this: "As a child who sincerely loves its mother, I wanted very much to fulfill her wish, but I left this to God and resigned myself completely to his will, paying no heed to the ache in my heart. I followed God's will." Let's talk about this for a moment. Her mother that she loved was literally dying and wanted to see her for the last time before she dies, basically. And Saint Faustina doesn't say, oh, well, obviously I've got to go right now. I love my mom and she's dying. No, she says, well, let me ask God about this. Is this his will? And in my mind, I probably would not have thought twice. I would have not prayed about it. I would have just been, of course, I've got to go. And perhaps that's partially how it happened, but the fact that she was thinking of whether or not this was God's will is so interesting. And of course, it ended up being, the right path for her. It made sense for her to go. So I think in most cases similar to this, I can't imagine God's desire wouldn't be for somebody to go and visit their dying parent. But the fact that she was open to whatever he had to say is really impressive to me, because I probably wouldn't have thought about it. But we have to think about the Lord first, above even the people we love most in the world. We have to put it to prayer. So anyway, so the rest of this little section, she's talking about her trip to visit her family and the observations that she made along the way. One thing in entry 400, she says, I remembered all the graces that I had received there in this church she used to go to, and which I had not understood at the time and had so often abused. I wondered how I could have been so blind. I love that too, because sometimes we're at these points in our lives where we're praying and we're doing things, and we look back at those times in our lives and we think, how did I not see this? Or how did I not understand that? Now that we have more knowledge, more life experience, and how did I not appreciate that time in my life more while I was in it? And it's just a good reminder for right now, whatever season of life you're in, whatever stage of life, if you're going through a joyful season or if you're going through a really rough, drama-filled time, whatever season you're in, try your best, even if it's really hard, to embrace it and to pull the things, the bits of gratitude that you can from the present moment. And I love that as she talks about her trip, she says in 401, I had many opportunities to practice virtue. She just saw all these opportunities during her trip. And one thing, I wrote this little footnote here. For some reason, people were excited to bring diseased children to her. I'm not exactly sure why, but anyway, she took this little child who had some sort of disease or illness, and her eyes, this is really gross, but her eyes were filled with pus. And Saint Faustina picked up the baby and then kissed the baby right on the infection. And I wrote, she's gotta be a saint, because I would never do that. Yeah, I definitely don't think most people would do that. That takes a lot of faith and trust in God, and So it's just interesting. My sons have not been napping well recently, and it is taking its toll out on me, but it's all good. Okay, final thing. So in 435, Saint Faustina was becoming afraid of this big task that God put on her to, spread this divine mercy message to the world. And so she was afraid and upset about it. And then Jesus said to her, "Do not fear. I myself will make up for everything that is lacking in you." And what I love about that is I think that it could apply to all of us. We all feel inadequate at certain times. And she even said, after Jesus said that to her, "However, I kept using my incompetence as an excuse." And then she heard the words when she was with her spiritual director. He gave her guidance, which said, "It was just such souls that God chooses most frequently to carry out his plans." And all of that is such good information because, again, a reminder that we can only do so much. Apart from God, we are nothing. Apart from him, we can't do much of anything. It is with his grace, with his strength that we find in him that we can accomplish whatever we need to do. And just the part about it was just such souls that God chooses most frequently to carry out his plans. And there are so many stories that I've seen, that I've heard, that I've experienced where people have just transformed the lives of others, or just shared some amazing messages, or just all these great things. And they're just simple people, average people, just like every one of us. They're not kings and queens with some magical special superpowers. They're people who simply responded to God's call in their life, who heard his voice in some way. And maybe it's not necessarily going to be this grand vision the way Saint Faustina experienced. And even she, can you imagine? Like, this person literally got visions from Jesus himself, and she still had times of doubt, had times of fear and worry and feelings of inadequacy. And she's a saint who had visions. So all of us experience the same types of things. And the way that God speaks to us all is going to be different than the way he speaks to her, because his mission for us and his purpose for us is different. And that's so cool when you really think about it. Now that I'm talking about it, like, how cool is it that each one of us has our own very specific mission in life and our own specific calling, whatever that is. And just the things in our lives, they change over time, depending on our circumstance, where we're at. And it's just so beautiful to be here on this earth. And there are so many times in my life where I wasted the gift of being alive, where I just sat and didn't make the best or most productive use of my time. And now being a mom, I just feel so much more in the right role that God had been leading me to. And even those times where I did just let life slip away, where I sat in front of the TV or just zoned out doing nothing productive, they're good reminders for me now. And it's just amazing how even our weak moments can be used to remind us of what we don't want to do, or to remind us of how good we have it now. And it's just amazing, all these details that happen in our lives. It's, it is incredible. So anyway, that's about it for this section. I'm gonna go check on the boys. They used to be amazing at napping, but they had a little bit of a cough this past weekend, and I think they're just not feeling amazing, and so they're a little less comfortable laying down for a prolonged period of time. I was hoping to get at least, 45 minutes to an hour, but it doesn't look like it's happening right now anyway, so I'm gonna get back to them. But I thank you guys for watching this. You are all awesome, and I hope that this week is a good one for you. So, and happy belated St. Patrick's Day. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.